どちらかはジナを消したグノーシアなんだ。どちらかが嘘を。
言ったでしょ、グノーシアは嘘つきだって。
人類はこの宇宙から消滅すべきだと思う。節も僕に何かを隠して。
これでおしまいか。
Going anime enthusiasts, welcome to yet another anime I'm checking out. This time by recommendation by who you see right here next to me, JD, the one who's been with me all this whole entire time with Anime Book Club with Log Horizon. Now we're kind of doing like a mini anime book club, but also this is tying in with me checking out all the new anime. JD, how you doing, man?
Doing good, and finally glad to get one of my favorite things on the list, combining both my favorite games and also one of my favorite concepts in sci-fi.
Yeah, this is... I don't want to say this is like out of left field for me, but more of like something different. I think an anime done in this style is particularly interesting as far as like in essence, in its basic form, like a mystery is going on, but it's actually also a sort of take on, a game as well, a long standing social deduction game. Essentially, this anime that we're talking about and that we're watching now is called Gnosia. It is a sci-fi anime with a mystery, drama, and thriller element. Because essentially the anime is, the core structure of it is, it's a game of werewolf where the main character is trying to find the one werewolf, in this case a Gnosia, in all of this. And it's a really interesting concept and spin that they put on it, because you do fail a lot, and the way that you succeed is by repeating the scenarios again and again and again. And you're probably wondering, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why are we getting a chance again when we already fail? Well, the anime is actually based on the game called Gnosia, which is a single player werewolf social deduction game where you play a main character and your goal is to find the Gnosia, the evil character. And you're probably wondering, well, how does that work? Well, essentially, you play the game of werewolf. There's the quote unquote day cycle and night cycle. Day cycle, you talk with everyone, you're investigating, you're going through the ship. And then the night cycle, the werewolf wakes up, the Gnosia, becomes active, kills somebody. Next time, you will vote, see what happens. You get the Gnosia, you succeed. If you don't, well, time to repeat. And right from the get-go, I will say, going into this blind really threw me for a loop, because I knew coming in that it was a game, but not knowing what the game was. And it was difficult to wrap my head around the entire thing. But as slowly as I took notes and wrote everything down, I was like, okay, this is pretty neat. This is a nice style that they're going with. Art is amazing as far as sci-fi is concerned. This is like, it has that cyberpunk aesthetic, but I think it's a lot more colorful and more artistic in that way. What do you think?
So, first of all, yeah, the animation is incredible, right? It's very vibrant, it's very poppy, and there's going to be a lot of glitching, almost astral elements that combine into this almost techno fantasy sort of vibe that really gets you into the whole atmosphere of being on a spaceship thousands of miles, not even miles, light years away from your home planet. I think, okay, and this gets into a lot of stuff, but Gnosia combines all your favorite elements of a regression story where you go back and repeat all of your mistakes and everything like that. A roguelike wherein you go in with your first run and get back with a few more things, and then you go and you do better each time, right? And it also combines the infamous time loop, right? It's a very stunning, amazing sort of concept once you get into it.
Yeah, speaking of getting into it, we were gonna do one episode. Well, the actual story is we were gonna do like the first episode, but at the same time, I was juggling a bunch of other things, and we were trying to finish the season 3 of Log Horizon. So we decided, okay, let's just do both episodes, and thankfully that was the right decision, because the first episode is more or less trying to get cold callers and everybody who doesn't know the game to get into the story and to get into the essentially like the first like jump in for it. So our protagonist is Yuri, who wakes up from, I'm saying it looks like deep sleep probably, but he's supposed to be connected to the instant learning system where it was supposed to teach him everything that's supposed to be going on, but it sort of fails and we have quote unquote amnesia. But we wake up to Setsu, who is currently Setsu is Setsu. I'll get into that later as I see it in my notes. Setsu kind of gives us, like, helps us get up and takes us through the ropes and tells us like the over encompassing like setting. We are on a ship. We are on board the interstellar cruiser DQO, and we took off from a place called Lianu, and we're currently en route to a planet in the Alacosia system. Now, unfortunately, our arrival is kind of postponed because there's a problem on the ship. They don't tell us the problem on the ship because of I don't know, writing story reasons. But essentially, there's an issue and we need to solve it. So next scene that shows up, we come into the meeting room where we meet 3 other characters. We meet SQ, who is currently my favorite character so far. Gina, who is my second favorite character so far. Rakio, who is my least favorite character so far. Hey, it just lines up perfectly. And so there's just the 5 of us in this meeting. And we need to decide, and this is where we learned about what Gnosias are. And it's not explained perfectly, but essentially they are some kind of infected thing that is able to replicate, I guess, humans in this regard. One is aboard the ship. And apparently everyone was attacked by Gnosia back in Lianu, and one kind of like got on board the ship. And now the ship wants to, protocol for the ship. I should mention, Levi is the name of the ship AI. Levi wants to self-destruct the ship because that's protocol. Whenever a Gnosia is on board, it's self-destruct. However, Setsu and the others have somehow convinced Levi that we can try to find out who the Gnosia is by putting it in the cold sleep and letting everybody else survive. So this is the premise of the Werewolf social deduction game, where everyone on the ship is trying to figure out the Gnosia, while the Gnosia is, trying to be the last one to survive and eliminate everyone by either killing them when it becomes active or making sure everyone gets voted into being put into cold sleep. So with that out of the way, that is the initial beginning premise. Unfortunately, there's a little bit more after that, but hopefully everyone is with us so far.
It gets very complex, especially for those who have played the game. You guys are with me. You know exactly what's going on. For those who are just starting the anime, it gets a little bit complex, but not so much that you'll be completely out of it. And I want to draw attention to Setsu's very infamous line where she asked Yuri specifically, fresh out of the freeze dryer, half amnesia, and barely understanding what's going on. And she asks, not she, they ask, they're going to say that a lot since Setsu is not a man or a woman. Do you believe that mankind should be wiped out from this universe? And that alone sent chills down my spine, and I bet it sent chills down your spine too, right, Soren?
I was completely confused. I was like, girl or man or well, first it was like girl. I was like, Setsu, what are you even talking about? It was not only until later, until when like everything was put together, I was like, why did you say that? There's no point. Well, yeah, there's no point in saying that. So that gets into like one of the few little things about it, but you know, it's every single character is going to say some kind of profound thing, but it's mostly going to be very, very suspect. So much, in fact, that you can't trust anybody ever. But you know what? I was wrong the first time because I voted Rakio out between the 5 of them, and Rakio got voted out. But that makes sense because initially in that meeting, you know, Rakio was the most aggressive person there and the most annoying. So it makes sense that, you know, as far as the human mind and personality going, you don't want to deal with somebody that caliber, somebody that aggressive. And if they're to that point, they're either, you know, got caught kind of second-handedly, or somebody or Rakio was just bad at, you know, being not so unassuming, and you know, Rakio got voted out.
To be fair, I'm with Rakio here. If I see one of the humans go like, oh, I had amnesia, right? And I'm in a Gnosia like situation where somebody's like a betrayer, I'm looking at that person, I'm gonna say, hey, bro, that's crazy. You can't just say that. But Setsu is cool. She says like, hey, there's no way Yuri could be faking this. That's just not how that works. And that sort of plays against Rakio. So he looks over aggressive, but honestly, I can see where he's coming from. That's just so illogical, right? Even if he did get voted out. And when he gets voted out, did you see how mad he got?
I mean, you had it. Rakio had it coming. You didn't defend yourself that well. And we didn't talk about her that much, but Gina is like the very shy, passive one in this instance, as so far as the first episode. So she's just kind of the background. She's like kind of, I guess, the helper in this instance. Now you're also probably wondering, well, how does the Gnosia like attack people, or how they become active? Well, the ship needs to make different warp points because they're like kind of like still traveling through space, and while the ship is in warp, humans lose consciousness, so they need to go to their rooms and go to sleep, or not sleep, but you know, be safe. And that's when the Gnosias can like just walk around the ship and, you know, does its thing. Now, I know this is supposed to be like a werewolf game and everything, but if the Gnosia has enough time during warp to like get one person, why not more?
And that's where you kind of gotta suspend disbelief.
I know. It's just if you had enough time to pass by the Yuri's room to get to somebody else, you can get a 2-for-1. That's all I'm saying.
That's how every werewolf wishes they could play the game, honestly.
Like in the ship,
Right.
the ship wouldn't do anything. You know, the ship was like agreeing. It's like, oh yeah, you know, did the ship agree to the Gnosia too? Like, hey, Gnosia, you only get 1 kill. Okay, 1 kill. All right.
Like this ain't, you know, this is a facet of like all killing games. They have like a rule where it's like you can't kill more than like 2 people. In the case of Danganronpa, same thing for werewolf. You kill 1 person a night, right? Outside of your normal rounds.
Wait, that makes
And in
sense.
this case, yeah, the warp is just too fast for the Gnosia to be able to kill more than 1 person. Because, like in any werewolf game, inevitably, once they make it to the end, if they make it to the end, and they have the same number as crewmates, they just overpower it because they don't have to hide anymore, right?
Exactly.
So that's why.
Nah, I was just thinking that Levi's like, all right, Gnosia, you only get 1 kill each warp, because if you don't, I'm gonna blow up the ship anyway.
No, that's a W game master right there.
Well, when we learn about that, of course, yeah, it's Setsu, SQ, Gina is left along with Yuri. We're with at this point we're with Setsu for a while, checking things out. We go to the observatory, see the enemy planet, and after Yuri goes to the room, we get I guess what we'll call an event with SQ, and SQ is like giving us like hard imposter, like very cuddly cutesy syndrome. It's like, you are doing way too much right now, and I understand, but this ain't it.
There's a lot to unpack here, right? So she makes a point during the first meeting when everybody's still alive, like, hey, I don't want to see you cling to Setsu just because she met you first, right? And you have amnesia, right? And Setsu, she's doing her best to like clear Yuri and make sure nobody else like sort of like not influences him, but like takes advantage of him. But SQ comes out strong, and this is like a very flirtatious, very open, silly character for everybody, right?
That's why she's my favorite.
She's great. Like, even as a person who played the game, I could see that being like very convincing. Like, oh, how can I really trust Setsu? Like, in frame, she's also hiding things from Yuri, right? I'm just saying, if SQ treated me that way.
hey, at this point, if you're in Yuri's shoes, like, sure, you would be more on Setsu's side because you saw Setsu first. This is like the whole mama bird kind of thing, to where Setsu is like your one true friend that's shows you the ropes and everything, and they haven't really lied to you yet. Sure, they said something like very confusing and sus in the beginning, but they put you through, they helped you out, put you through the ropes. Was like one of the pioneers of trying to like convince Levi to do the whole werewolf voting thing, and they were with you like to the end. This is and the only time SQ rolls up and is the complete opposite, like chaotic. At this point, you're kind of put off. So unless your personality is like of a different type, you can't trust SQ at this point. Even if they say you got surprisingly cute eyes, you can't do anything with that.
I don't know about that. I think she's right.
Nah, I believe her. But afterwards, warp happens. The Gnosia becomes active. Gina is assassinated by the werewolf. And now we're left with Setsu and SQ. And both of them give their, going back and forth with their dialogue. And we still believe that Yuri is not to be the Gnosia. And that's cool. The voting begins. I put down on my votes. For me, if I was in this scenario, SQ gotta go. SQ gotta go. And here's like the crazy thing. SQ got to Yuri. And Setsu got voted out. I'm like, Yuri, what's good, my guy?
No, you gotta understand. This is like what's it called? This is like a coming of age ceremony for everybody who's ever played Gnosia, or who has ever played like Werewolf in general. When you're in the final 3 with one person who you don't trust and another who won't tell you information and making the wrong choice, it's brutal. It's a heart-wrenching decision, bro.
True.
Like, Setsu just wasn't open enough for Yuri at that point. At least SQ is putting down some like logics and social decision. Like, she played that perfectly, low-key.
In that instance, SQ's like style of play and dialogue overpowers like Setsu's more, I guess. It was one of the logical side, but it's more like the bland, straightforward way. If somebody who's like just woke up, doesn't know anything, the more extrovert and outgoing you are, the more convincing you sound, no matter what you say.
Yeah, I think even in the previous meetings, SQ didn't even like pay attention that much. She just sort of chirped off from the side. She was like doing her nails, looking around the wall.
Exactly. You kind of think like somebody at that caliber just can't be like a killer or anything.
Yeah, and then like when she gets Yuri alone, she just turns it on, and then suddenly she's like, I don't even know.
Bad ending.
Manipulating queen. Yeah, bad ending.
But before we get the bad ending, Setsu gives us some cube thing, and that Setsu was given to by somebody else for whatever reason. And we were given this quote: "Doubt not, fear not, and know knowledge will save all." That's cool and everything. My question is, Setsu, why aren't you using this? Why does Yuri need to use it?
Like, she just handed off for immortality.
Like, we could be following you, Setsu, but no, we gotta be with Yuri. Which is another thing, suspension of disbelief. We gotta put someone else in. But that I want that to be explained of why Setsu doesn't use it. Is Setsu tired or trying to going through the whole thing? That's whatever. But essentially, the cube thing is what allows Yuri to have the power to transcend death and essentially go back to the beginning should Yuri fail. And Yuri does fail. Which leads us to episode 2, our very first loop. So, how this works is that we go straight back to the beginning of episode 1, where we wake up from the pod. Everything is seemingly the same. Setsu wakes us up, asks us if do we know something, knowing that the instant learning system kind of failed on us. Yuri internally knows that, kind of realizes that he's retained his memories of the first time it happened, those instances. And while in that same room, we mention, not in the room, but in the hallway as we're going through, we mentioned to Setsu that we returned and thanks for the power that's given to us. But Setsu doesn't know anything. Also, we aren't as aloof and amnesic because we are more kind of in tune with the environment. So that already changed. And now, before the meeting even begins, because we were delayed, SQ meets us in the hallway this time. And while SQ is wrapping it up with both of us, we reveal SQ's name. And SQ's like, "Oh, not so amnesic, are you?" I was like, "Oh no, we can't do this." I was flipping back and forth through the first episode and this episode to make sure that dialogue stayed the same, that the scenes stayed the same. Some of it did, but now we are completely in a different timeline.
Yeah, entirely different branch. This is the greatest appeal. This is where the regression becomes like so much more interesting. Because imagine Yuri wakes back up and he's like, "Okay, SQ, the Gnosia, right now." And that's sort of what he does when he first comes out. In the meeting, when they're all still alive, he says, "Oh, I'm suspicious of SQ." Gina has to ask him what his opinion is, and he says, "Oh, it's SQ." Rakio and SQ immediately turn on him, right? Because that's a crazy accusation with no evidence, right? This to the point where Setsu has to cover for him, right? SQ is like, "Hey, why are you two so defensive of each other, of being Gnosia?" And she's like, and a favorite line in both the episodes, she takes his hand, Yuri's hand, and is like, "We're lovers."
That was the most blatant lie possibly ever, because they also called it out on Setsu and "I thought you were asexual." And the sense is "We're spiritual lovers. It's a spiritual connection." I was like, that's an instant vote out. That's an instant vote out. There's no way. Ain't nobody believing that.
Straight up. That was for the fans, for all my Gnosia heads. Type in the comments that I'm a fan if you saw that, right?
No. But this is also where it's revealed that Rakio is from the upper echelon of the Glazefeet, who are known for their high intelligence. So it seems like, hopefully, possibly in the later loops, Rakio will be very an asset as far as a very intelligent person. So much so that Rakio did flip the amnesia card on us to signal us to be a Gnosia, lying about everything. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and Setsu got put in the cold sleep 3-2 against SQ. After, Setsu gets put in the cold sleep, Yuri reveals about this being the second meeting, and Setsu's like, but Setsu just gives Yuri some hints on how to survive and not be suspected, which is good, help Yuri kind of understand how to play the social engineering game to not get to help out.
Like, okay, during the meeting, Yuri was Yuri was yapping a lot, right? Of course, he was invited to speak by Gina, right? But he just kept insisting, like, oh, SQ is kind of suspicious. And that opened him up to get countered a lot, right? So Setsu was like, okay, you need to calm down with that. Do less of that and don't trust anybody, right? And I think that's probably the best advice she could give. Oh my fucking god. This gendering thing is going to kill me.
For real. Because I'm not going to lie, because in the first episode, SQ made the mention of Setsu being, a woman, and then Setsu said, "I am not a woman." And I was like, okay, I put on my notes, Setsu is not a woman, even though you kind of have that appearance. And then in the second episode, when SQ said, "Oh, you use your Prince Charming kiss to wake up Yuri," and then Setsu said, "I am not a man," I was like, all right, okay, I see where this is going. You're just gonna mess up my notes every single episode. All right, comment down below. Let's take a gamble. It's a 50-50 anyway. Is Setsu gonna be a male or a female?
We're gonna get canceled, dog.
Nah, dude.
Oh,
nah.
no.
I'm taking the gamble right now. My bet.
Oh, God. All my Gnosia heads type out the answer, but do it backwards.
Nah. Setsu's gonna be a female in episode 3. Yeah. So besides the point of taking sports bets on Setsu's next gender.
My god, we're cooked. We're canceled.
After Setsu gets a cold sleep, Gina from the first episode, who was the shy one, actually opens up to us and wants to believe us. So we tell Gina that we are in a loop, and very nonchalantly, Gina believes us. And then we go through this whole little scene of Gina says, "Hey, come work with me on the outside of the ship." And Yuri's like, "Why?" It was like, "Well, you need 2 people to go outside, and this is to prove the trust." And Yuri's like, "Okay." And so Gina and Yuri go outside the ship and work on doing some small little repairs and whatnot. And we learn a little bit about Gina, that she's from Earth and she used to be a space traffic controller. And this is whole little cute little, I guess, crush romantic scene where they get close and everything. And at first I was like, oh, that's cute. And then slowly it kind of dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, Gina, you weren't this outgoing. Well, not outgoing, but you weren't this little buddy in the first episode. What's going on here? And after that, Levi kind of tells Yuri, hey, walk around the ship, get some memories back. This little montage going around the ship. And this is where we get Rakio part 2, Electric Boogaloo. And we meet with Rakio and we're like, hey, let's talk. We tell Rakio about being a loop and needing assistance to voting against SQ. And this is where we learn about Schrodinger's cat, how this whole entire loop system works. So JD, since you know a lot more about this, I'll let you explain.
So the long and short of it in Schrodinger's theory is that you cannot know whether the cat is inside the box until you open the cat. This also extends to who is Gnosia in each time loop. Rakio perfectly explains that once you start a branch and then regress, there are a million different variables that can change between each loop, such as who is the Gnosia, right? So he's saying that even though Yuri has lived through one loop where SQ was the Gnosia and murdered him, that it may not be the same thing here.
Exactly, because it even hints at it back in the beginning of this second episode, is that when Yuri wakes up differently and not says anything about not remembering anything. And when Yuri kind of like mentions about the power that Setsu gave him, everything's completely different. SQ even meets us in the hallway first, and not SQ meets us in the hallway first, and not seeing SQ in the meeting room. So everything like was completely different. So you can't really take from what you learned in the first one, apply it to the second one. Well, at least you can learn a little bit of things, but there's no telling if the Gnosia will be SQ again. It's even to the fact it's possible that Yuri could be the Gnosia. That's also the kind of thing, but I don't think that would be a possibility. Or if the anime explores it, I mean, hey, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, Yuri having to go through that realization that even like somebody like Setsu could be a Gnosia in one loop. And Setsu said the same thing when she got cold sleep this episode. Like, you can't even trust me all the time. I might be the Gnosia, right? You might be the Gnosia too. Yuri coming to terms with that and then having to face SQ, who just betrayed him in the last loop, is just perfect cinema. And she says the same thing. Oh, and my bad. Yuri, he's like cold to her. He's like, get out of my room. I don't want to see you. Let's not talk. Gnosia, right? And her like flirty little style, she's like, man, fine. I thought you had pretty eyes. And in the exact same way as the last loop. Just beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm. I still thought you had surprisingly cute eyes. I was like, nah, ain't no way. So, but even before then, when Yuri asked Gina, hey, are you human? After the whole Rockio Schrodinger's cat explanation, Gina said, yes, I'm human. And then the anime showed that she pulsed. And I was like, oh, is that confirmation? And then the SQ event happened. And I was like, oh, nah, Gina's the Gnosia this time. Like that confirmed it for me. The SQ event, the way she felt sad about it, I was like, nah, Gina's the Gnosia. But the war happens, Raquel's killed. We have SQ and Gina left. They didn't even have like a discussion for the voting. The voting just happens. And I put down on my votes, put down Gina. And then Yuri has second doubt about everything. Like he puts his hand over, he's putting his hand over Gina because of the whole I can't trust anybody bit. And then he has the resolve, and he does the anime, pull backs his hand, and he slams it on the console and he picks SQ. I was like, you idiot.
Bro, poor Yuri going back into this in the exact same scenario as the first loop. I wouldn't wish this pain on anybody else in the world. But he has to live with it. That's his choice. That's his cross to bear. Their cross to bear.
And it's crazy too. It's when you see like SQ to be revealed like Gnosia in the first episode, I was like, oh snap, this is like the real bad ending. Like it's cruel. And then when Gina's the Gnosia and we see the red lines over her, she still looks pretty tame. I was like, oh, that's like, I think that's even worse. Is that when like the shy one is revealed to be the bad one, and then like nothing else really happens. It's like you just gotta live with it, and it's like a slow death.
No, yeah, the Gnosia reveals are like incredible. SQ, she's immediately like, Yuri, and she's like still her flirtatious self right before she freezes the world and kills Yuri off screen, right? And Gina, she was the sweetest little woman this whole time during like this loop. She's out there in space taking care of Yuri, making sure he doesn't like die or anything while they're out in like the open repairing the ship. They come back in, she's just putting so much faith in the guy. And then when she betrays him at the end, she has her hands by her hips. She looks down. She says, I hope we can meet again. And your heart just shatters, man.
I hope we can meet.
It's brutal.
He said, I hope we can meet again tomorrow. I was like, there is no tomorrow. What you mean?
Wait, for Yuri, there's a tomorrow since he's going to loop. She knows that, right?
There is no tomorrow for a loop, We're going back to the beginning. But we do. We wake up for the third time, and we wake up in a cold sweat this time. We don't even wake up slowly. We just wake up, and then we see like Setsu has towels in their hand, her hand, his hand, where it might be this time. We'll figure it out. After that, it's just quick cuts to like, now we're in a hallway. Yuri's like in his mind going through things. And then an alien walks through the hall. And then a girl gets buddy close up to Yuri. We have 2 new characters. And the episode ends. Help me, Lord.
And the variables expand. It's beautiful. It was a great first 2 episodes showing. As somebody who did play through all of Gnosia multiple times, right? I think they give so much life to the characters that you could only like infer from before, right? Like SQ is even bubblier and like more flirtatious in the anime than in the visual novel. And that's just amazing. Setsu's twice as cool as they were. Like Gina is, oh my god, Gina, whoever picked her voice actress is just like the perfect casting director. I feel like everybody's very human, very believable. Like they knew their characters when they walked in.
Yeah, for me, I've seen these 2 episodes, and like after doing a little bit of research on the game, it makes me feel like, dang, I gotta play this game now. I need to see how many times it takes me to figure things out. And I am a lot more interested in the background, like the setting. It's like, why are we here? Like, who are the Gnosia in general? Or why are they so dangerous? Like, we're getting up to this point, you know, there's so much things. And also, you know, learning about all of these characters. Like, right now, I want to know more about SQ. That's, like I said, that's my favorite character. SQ is right there with me. There might be some more. Like, I saw the images of the other ones. And, of course, we got new ones coming in, but we're not going to talk about them now. We'll talk about them more as they come in. But yeah, as far as like an anime concern as this, and not knowing much about the game, it's gonna weigh on me a bit through, and it's gonna take me a lot to take down notes. But I'm here for the story. I do like the werewolf social deduction style. It kind of makes it like a game within the anime itself. It's like, how many times can you get right? How many times can you tell through the anime itself and what Yuri does and what the other characters do? Like, can you figure out who the Gnosia is before, you know, Yuri has to loop again? I'm thinking I'm right 2 for 2 this time. We'll see if I can get a perfect. We'll see if the record continues. It's probably not going to be. As soon as we add in more and more and more characters.
Yeah, just like as a future heads up, there's going to be more characters. And I think the first 2 loops, they fall into what's more of vibes-based gameplay, right? Like, you don't actually have any evidence for why somebody could be like the Gnosia for these first 2 loops. That'll change up a lot. So like, if you're a game head like me and you really care about like the logic behind the decisions, that'll change up. So there's really a lot to look forward going into these next episodes, like the whole season.
So let me ask you this: since you played the game and now you watch the anime, what do you think are your key takeaways and the differences between them, both of them?
The differences.
Yeah, because you know, when you think about it, when you play the game, there's a much different headspace that you're in rather than like, you know, the anime is concerned. Or if you're just watching it, you know, as far as just trying to like doing deductions and figuring things out.
Ah, I see. Okay, so in game, there's not a lot of good tells. It activates in rounds. So like every discussion, you have 5 action points for the whole group. The whole group gets 5 like discussion points they can go through during the day. This one's a little bit more freeform in the anime, and you actually have lots of social cues that the characters do while in the meeting that indicate like their guilt or their role and things like that. If you look really closely in episode 1 and episode 2 at the 2 Gnosia when they're talking, you can sort of pick out a few spaces where they actually do indicate what their role is. And this, you know, also coincides with the "Are you human?" line from Yuri. All my Gnosia heads are gonna love that line in the screen pulse. It won't be as what's the word for it? It won't be as obvious as the screen pulse was that indicates the lie there, but you can see a lot of body language now that really elevates both the anime and the gameplay, I feel like.
Oh, okay. I figured that was some kind of like video game like tell or aesthetic Because I know for a fact when Levi said, hey, go walk around the area, and you see the little circles appear in the enter sign. I was like, oh, that's a cute little reference to the game. Like, I understood that as a gamer myself, but not actually playing the game. But seeing Gina pulse, I also thought that was like a game tell of what, like, that's either a lie or a confirmation kind of thing that happened. That would also happen in the game if you played it. So I'm glad that there's like very good references and like callbacks to the game for the ones that play the game can appreciate the details that were also given.
Yeah, like the most powerful, or one of the most powerful strategies in the game is to ask everybody in the meeting, "Are you human?" Right? And then everybody will go on the line and be like, "Hey, I'm human. I'm human. I'm human." And then people who are good at picking out lies will naturally be like, "Wait, you're kind of looking funny, right?" And then that'll be like some extra evidence to help you.
That feels cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you. That feels cheap.
Hey, bro, in the social deduction game, you better be able to lie. I'm just saying.
Are you human? No. Would that work?
Wait, no.
Yeah.
If you say no, you're getting kicked out. They don't play with trolls on this.
But maybe that's a strategy.
I would love to see like that kind of subversion actually. Just be like, no, I'm not human. And like they're so like funny and like joking most of the time that everybody actually just believes they're joking. That they just get by scot-free.
That's called the jester.
Yeah. Like the big jester, dude. That could be cool. That'd be a good way to like separate the game and like the anime a little bit more. Rely more on those bluffs and stuff like that.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Wait, okay, yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, the anime can like invent a few things that the game wouldn't be able to do, just like to throw us off. That'd be cool if one of the characters like, yeah, I'm not human, and then everybody just turns their heads, be like, you say what?
Oh god, the Flash.
Hey, you know what? What if they say they aren't human, and that's the Gnosia just like telling them the truth, and it's just seeding doubt everywhere. Like, there's no way that somebody would out themselves, right? Right? Right?
No, that would be so cool.
But yeah, that is it for Gnosia. Like I said, I'm invested. I want to see more characters. SQ definitely has me invested. I'm gonna stop saying that right now until like there's another one to like take over SQ. But for right now, we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts?
Man, support the anime. Go play the game. Join me as enemies of humanity, and let's go make some Gnosias.
All right, I didn't say all that, but if you don't want to be if you don't want to be enemies of humanity and you're actually trying to help save everybody, like the video, comment down below what you guys think so far, and comment down below if you actually play the game, and tell me about it. You convince me more to buy the game eventually. Oh, you know what? That'd be cool. Like at the end of this, I'll do a video like doing a couple runs to see if I can get to the end of it. Yeah, that would be like a nice cap off to this whole entire thing.
Oh, full playthrough? That'd be sick.
Yeah, might as well. Like, if the anime is gonna be like this good and this thoughtful and put out, it should be warranted. Like to buy the game and give it a shot.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna hold you to it. Hey guys, make sure you hold them to it.
Nah, I don't make promises I can't keep. So I'm definitely gonna get the game at the end of this. But with that, that'll be the end of it. I hope you guys have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you guys are in the world. And I hope your day is just a little bit better. If it's not, I hope it is. But if it is, well, a little bit more to you for, until you next go to sleep. But watch out. There might be a Gnosia in your family. Nah, I'm just kidding. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
See you, folks. See you on the other side of cold sleep.